Alright, hello everyone. I'm here with Christian Calcano, the calculator.
Yo, what's up, everyone?
I'm not really sure where to start. One thing that I and Chris have in common is that we both love Japan. We actually got to hang out in Japan together many times, so that's great.
Yeah, Japan's awesome. I love it as well.
Besides that, the most interesting thing about Chris, in my opinion, is that he did win a GP with 3 Sulfur Falls in his deck. So I would like to start right there. Like, what happened there, man? Just like, can you once and for all talk about it?
Well, honestly, like, it's a pretty interesting story. So that GP is the week after the season ended, and that's when like they started the silver, gold, platinum system. And I did pretty bad. I had a horrible weekend in Barcelona. Had a horrible, like, you know, things were not going well, like, outside of Magic as well. So I wasn't even going to this tournament. So I fly back home from Spain. It's like, I don't know, it's like Wednesday or something. And I had already, like, been, like, brewing up this deck with, like, some people on, like, Magic Workstation. And that, which is super old school. A lot of people might not know what Workstation is, but
I know what it is, but for those who don't know, you know, it was like back in the day when we didn't have enough money to play Modo. That's where you played Magic, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so we played on that, and then a day later, you know, I'm liking the deck, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna have like a pretty miserable weekend if I just stay home. So I'm just gonna go to this Grand Prix, like whatever, let's go, you know. So I bought a ticket to fly in that Saturday, so the day of the tournament, because I had 3 buys, and yeah, I came through with that deck, and pretty much the whole like 3 silver falls versus 4 silver falls. It was just it came down to like me wanting to have an extra untapped red source on turn 1, and that was all. So I was just like, I don't need this many blue sources. I'll just cut a silver falls for a mountain.
Do you still
pretty much the only reason?
Do you still think that until to this day that it was right?
I felt so, yeah. I mean, like basically, like the only thing I cared about was having enough sources on turn 1 of like the blue mana, and after that, like I didn't really need like my next, like, you know, my lamp drops like 3 to 4. Doesn't really matter if they're like mountain or something, you know. But as long as I have like 2 blue or something, I should be fine, right? But overall, it was just having turn 1 like blue mana, and then so since I figured I had enough blue mana on 1, I'd rather just add an extra red on 1, even though like
it just looks weird. I'm not saying you're like right or wrong. I just thought it was interesting.
I don't know either, but that was just the thinking at the time, because basically like the deck has a few 1 mana red spells like Grim Lavamancer,
Pillar of Flame,
yeah. So I just wanted to have like some outs of being able to cast those spells on 1, like on the draw. There was also like a cough as well in the sideboard, so like an extra mountain. But that was about it, honestly. It wasn't like, you know.
Did it come to you during the tournament that you either got rewarded or like maybe the other way that, you know, you just
I have no idea.
All right, fair.
You know. I don't know. I did remember round 9 of that tournament. I played against Esper Control, and I beat an Esper Control player where I had like Cough Emblem with 1 mountain in play for like at least like maybe 3 turns or so, until I finally drew a second one, and then I was able to just like, you know.
Yeah, for people who don't know, Cough Emblem, if you tap a mountain, you deal 1. So if it was a Silver Falls, you know.
Yeah, it would not have done anything.
Yeah. Okay. I just thought it was like fun and interesting, so that's where I wanted to start. But
sure. I mean, that was the first Grand Prix I ever won, and that kind of like.
How many did you win?
I just won 2, but I top 8 and 9. So that was the first top 8 and the first win as well. And I had already played on the PT for like a couple of years before then. I was like one of the people with like the most GPs played, who got a top 8.
Yeah, I actually talked to Michael Bonde right before you, and he knows the exact number of GPs that you played. It's 125.
Who, me?
Yeah, you're in like the top 20 people who like achieved them. Played
No,
most
I've played
GPs.
it. I've played it more than that.
Well, maybe the data was old or something, but that's the number that he said.
Yeah, because I can actually tell you. Because I used to. I know even Andrea started doing it too after he saw I did it. But I used to like track the GPs I used to play in, just for fun. Here we go. I haven't updated it in a while. But yeah, the last time I updated it was... Yeah, it looks like, I think I played like in 170 or something.
Wow, really? How is that
Yeah.
even real? I didn't even know that there was 170 GPs. So...
Oh, there's
that's
more than
impressive.
that. I mean, there's people
I'm
that
just
play
kidding,
more
but-
than that, obviously. You know, like Shuhei was like, it's like Shuhei Martin, and Saito
And also
are the three who played the most like, ever.
Rafael Levy, isn't he there as well? Maybe not.
He's definitely played a lot, but like I don't know how much he did like all like the
Yeah.
traveling. He did it. I know he did it for some points of his career, but I don't know how much he did it.
Well, I don't think he like
But-
traveled as much as Martin and Shuhei, but I just thought that he did it for like a longer period of time. So maybe it's just like
Sure, no, I'm sure he's up there. Definitely.
yeah,
but yeah, yep.
yeah.
But that's
One thing that I want to talk about, I think that you had like pretty hard beginnings. I even remember back when I was a kid, I wasn't even qualified for the Prix or anything, but I watched the coverage, and there was like an interview with you, and you like said on the camera that like maybe like one of the last few PTQs that you went to, like if you didn't qualify, you would like quit playing Magic. You were just like
Yeah.
grinding really hard at the beginning.
yeah.
Can you talk
that's
about
accurate.
can you talk about that a little bit if you can?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much, like I first learned to play the game at the end of 2003, and I just like played for fun because I used to play a different game. And then once I started playing it, I like immediately just wanted to like start playing like competitive tournaments. So like I played tournaments locally, but I didn't really find too much. I didn't really find out about like the PT or like the Grand Prix until like I want to say like the summer of 2004. Because that was like the first time I played a Grand Prix, and it's funny, I didn't know there was a day 2, and I played it because it was very close to where I live in New York, and after that, like that's the year that I decided, okay, like I'm just gonna try as hard as I can to play every qualifier, and I started going to GPs like in 05, 06, and then I started flying to them in like 07. But pretty much like there was a lot of PTQs around my area in New York, and we would drive to qualifiers all the time, like as far as like maybe even 7 or 8 hours away.
Yeah,
we drove to basically all of them because there was always like 1 or 2 PTQs within driving distance every week, more or less every season.
Yeah, I had
So
the
we
same.
always,
I had the
we
same
always
when
played those.
I was like 15 to 17. I pretty much did the same thing. Like all the PTQs in Germany and stuff. I just like drove to all of them.
Yeah. So had many fun trips and rides, and I never won any of those tournaments, by the way.
Oh, you never won a
Never.
PTQ?
Not any
Until
of
recently?
the ones I played in paper.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Basically, like, so I was playing those for years, and then I started playing the Grand Prix. I started flying to them in like 07, and it wasn't until like 2009, right? I've already played for over 5 years, so I was like getting kind of exhausted, of always like playing in qualifiers. Like I had top 8'd a bunch at that point, and I had never top 16 the Grand Prix, which is what you needed back then to qualify for the PT as well.
Oh, that's true. Back in the day, top 16
Yeah.
was enough, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I never top 16 any of them. I remember I didn't day 2. It took me 3 years to day 2 a Grand
Oh,
Prix.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it took me a long time. So, but yeah, so but I played like all the time. I played like every day basically after school. So yeah, like at the very end of 09, I was like, all right, I'm just like, if I don't, I'm gonna try like again next year. But if I don't qualify, I'm just gonna like stop trying. And then I just won a PTQ like 2 weeks later, and that was on Magic Online.
So were you able to like chain invites after that, or like what happened after that?
Yeah, so I didn't day 2 my first PT. It was in San Juan, and I was very sad about it.
Was
but
that the one
then,
that Paulo won? Won the one
yes,
with
Paulo won that.
yeah.
It was the
Block
Rise
Jace,
of Eldrazi block, yeah, with
Chase and
Jason
Vengevine and
Sculptor.
stuff.
Yeah, it was that format was sick. But we had a great deck for that. I had the same deck as V, Malshowitz, John Finkel, and those players
the
played.
mono green deck?
Yeah, Mono Green Monument.
I know that deck.
Yes,
That deck was sweet, man.
That deck was unreal. So that was my first PT deck. It was so sick. but yeah, so that in that tournament too, like being in Puerto Rico, it was my first time there, which was a lot of fun. So I didn't do well in the tournament, unfortunately. I was very sad about it. And then I did well in the side events that weekend. I went home, and then I saw my rating updated, and I saw that I was actually like over 2,000. So I decided that I was gonna try to qualify for the next PTN rating. I went to a Star City Open before they were like the big.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I actually don't really remember the days when you could qualify for rating. How much approximately did you like usually need to be able to qualify?
You needed like 2070-ish around there, 2080.
Mm-hmm. So you were pretty close.
Yeah, I was like 20. I think I was like 20. I don't know, like 2050 something after that weekend. Like my rating was pretty high.
I just wanted to say for the viewers who maybe got into Magic because of Arena, like before Magic was like using this rating based on like the rating from chess, but the problem is that like in chess a lot of the time the better player wins. So but in Magic it's not necessarily the case, so it doesn't really go like that like the best players have the best rating, because once you like go like 0-3 in a tournament you just like drop super badly, because that would never happen in chess, right, to the best player. So they just kind of switched to a different system because the rating just doesn't really work for Magic. I'm sorry, you can
yeah. But yeah, so pretty much I knew that I was within distance of qualifying on rating, so I went to a Star City Open in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And I 5-0 dropped the tournament. And
5-0
that
drop?
was a 5-0 drop.
I see.
And that was enough to qualify for my second PT, which was
Did you know for sure that it was enough, or did you just gamble it?
Yeah, so back in the day, Magic League was one of like the free websites around that would like use Workstation to like play tournaments, right? Yeah. Well, they had a ratings calculator.
Oh, so you knew immediately.
So every round, I would after every match, I'd ask my opponents, like after the match was over, I asked them, hey, like what's your rating? And they would tell me, and then I would calculate, and I was like, oh, I won. Okay, so I was like, oh, I need to keep going, because I thought I was going to be able to 3-0, and then after the match, and I.
So after the 4 wins, it still wasn't enough.
Yeah, it still wasn't enough, because if their rating was like low, then you would barely win any points. Mm-hmm. You would win like 2 or 3 points or something.
Yeah.
So that's why I knew I had to keep going. And then
you beat someone with a high rating.
Like after the round 5, I played against like I remember a grinder from the Northeast as well. And I played like against him in PTQs and stuff before. And so that was a tough match. And I remember there was a point where I thought I was going to lose, and I was already like. I was like, oh no, this is the end. Because, if you lose 1 point at one point, like it's just over, basically. Mm-hmm. So, but I came back and I won. I was super happy. I like dropped and like I got out of there. and then I went to Amsterdam, and that was another crazy tournament because that was back when the PTs were still like 5-3 to make day 2. And then I was 2-3 after they're constructed. And I was feeling pretty sad, and I had to 3-0 the draft, which I did though.
Nice.
And then I
would actually never become a pro if it hasn't for the first PT where I started 0-4, and then I finished the tournament at 11-5. I would never become a pro if that didn't happen. So I can relate.
Yeah, I was 2-3, and the next thing I knew, I was 10-3, and I was just like.
Nice.
I was like, I was just like, okay, this is kind of crazy, right? But then I made what was probably to this day the worst mistake of my Magic career in round 14 of this tournament.
What did you do?
And then Okay, so this
I'm
is
looking, I'm
against.
looking forward to this.
Yeah. Okay. This is the worst. Basically, I didn't test with anyone for this tournament. I was pretty much by myself.
What did you play?
So I just played my Doran deck that I really
Oh,
liked.
as
And
always.
then when I found out that Channel Fireball also played Doran in that tournament, I was very happy.
Surprise, surprise, Calc played Doran.
Yeah, so I played Doran um and yeah, so basically my opponent goes turn one blue white border post, and I was in the play already. So I went like turn one Harbinger, get Doran, and then they played border post, and I wasn't sure what deck they were playing because I just didn't test for that tournament basically.
Was it like the balance deck or something?
They were, but I didn't know that was a deck.
Okay.
So basically, they played a border post on turn two, and on turn and I had gone second Harbinger, and get like a memory boss or something. So basically, like my whole play was like, all right, I can play Doran, hit them for a bunch, and kill them in like three turns basically, in three attacks, and I can just Maelstrom Pulse whatever they play after instead of killing their lands, right?
Oh shit.
But
Oh shit.
unfortunately, they were playing the balance deck,
Oh,
so
man.
they just played turn three Ardently balance and killed my whole board.
But it doesn't seem like the
I
worst, misplay ever.
Yeah.
We just didn't know.
Well, yeah, I know, but like I could have, because the thing is, his turn one play was border post and his turn two play was border post, so I could have just killed two of his lands, and he would have had zero lands to my.
Wait, oh, I see. So like, even if you didn't know what deck he was playing, it was still like obviously better to do that.
Yeah,
Is what you're
yeah.
saying? Okay.
Yeah, and then I lost that match, and then that was not enough to. Obviously, I was dead for top 8 at that point, but I still managed to top 50, and that queued me for Paris, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and then, but then I queued for Worlds on rating again, and then so I queued for the next PT, which was Worlds on rating. That was my first time I went to Japan, and then at that tournament I top 16, and then that's how I became level 4, which was like the equivalent to gold.
Did you ever fall off the train after that?
No, I played basically from the first PT up until the Players Tour in Nagoya. I've played every like paper pro tour basically.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so that was 10 years. Like there were multiple times where I was like not qualified.
But you
Happened,
always
like,
managed to qualify.
But I managed to requalify, and then this Zendikar Championship was like the first time that I wasn't qualified for like
same for me. Actually.
for like a pro tour kind of event, effectively, because
It happened to a lot of people.
I know it's not the same. It's not a pro tour, right? But it's still like
I know. What
I
you
feel
mean.
like if we were able to play tournaments in paper, I feel like that tournament would have been a paper pro tour, basically.
Yeah.
So, but obviously, a lot of things would be different right now if the world were normal.
I mean, it did happen to a lot of people, so
Yeah, of course. I'm one of many, obviously.
Yeah.
I saw your interview with Hayne, and I know y'all talked a lot about that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is.
So you mentioned that you traveled to Japan for the first time. Did you already have a passion for Japan before going there for the first time, or did it just kind of like the spark just kind of happened once you got there for the first time?
Well, I mean, I knew like I was always like into like anime shows and stuff like that. Like I watched a lot of Dragon Ball when I was young. Like Yu-Gi-Oh was something I watched and I played, and that's like kind of linked to Japan as well. So I already had like that interest in Japan, and I was like excited to go there. But then when I got there, it kind of went even higher, So
yeah, I was for myself as well. Like when I went there for the first time, I was like really scared that I expected the best, and I was like afraid that it's gonna disappoint me and stuff. But it didn't happen at all.
Yeah. For sure. Same here.
So would you like to live there at some point?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to. I think it'd be cool to live there for like 6 months to a year, but that's about it. But like, I mean, I envision myself wanting to kind of like move around over like maybe the next 5 or 10 years if that's possible. Like once I, but I mean that's another thing. Like I love where I live as well. I live in New York, and I've lived here my whole life, so I've always really loved living here, and you know, so it was always nice to travel a bunch and leave and get out, but it was always nice to come back as well. So I don't know, it's gonna be tough if and when I leave here, but I do expect that I will at some point.
So what's the reason why you want to do that? You just like kind of want to have an experience of like, you know, when you're like 60 or whatever, you want to be able to be the guy that can say, well, I was in all these places and that makes me a bigger person, or like why do you want to do that?
Honestly, it's just because, you know, I've been able to travel so much for Magic and meet so many different kinds of people through the game. It's made me, it's like I've grown an appreciation for like other cultures and other languages and stuff like that. So I think just because of that, it makes me more like open to want to live somewhere different, you know, because like the United States is pretty different than most other places in the world, I would say. So I think it'd be nice to like live somewhere in Asia or Europe or Latin America. I think I think it'd be a nice like change from what I've always been used to.
Aren't you afraid of the language barrier? I know that obviously if you move to like in England, you know, it's not gonna be the case, but you know, for the most part, if you go to like, I don't know, Poland or whatever, like not everyone speaks English. So like, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, it's never really bothered me too much because I just feel like in general, like most people speak English.
I think that's because when you go to a tournament, you talk to like smart people who travel, so it just like kind of might seem that people speak English, but
no, I know, but I mean just like my experience, like you know, in the outside world or whatnot. Like even in Japan, like you know, their English might not be great or whatever, but I can still, for the most part, like you know,
get by.
Like I can get by and understand what they're trying to say, get a general gist of it. There's also like you know a bunch of like translating like apps and stuff like that. Like I've talked to people where they would type in a Google like translator or something.
Yeah, it happened to me many times as well.
yeah, and like I mean it might not be like the most efficient way or whatever, but like it's you know I don't know, you can find ways to get by, I feel.
So we already briefly talked about the fact that we didn't play in the Zendikar Championship, so we kind of like off the train all of the sudden, right?
Yeah.
Are you like still playing a lot of Magic, maybe trying to queue for the next PTs or whatever? Or how is it with you and Magic right now?
Well, right now I'm not really playing very much because I'm just not very like interested or motivated to. However, like the highest level of the game has always been what's attracted me to like wanting to play. So I'm only basically like I have like a bare minimum interest in like you know always being qualified for like the qualifier weekends or playing in the arena opens, you know, like playing in those kind of competitive events with like a reward that I'd be happy to win. Like I'm gonna play in those, but I don't really test very much for them at all. Like I don't really play on the ladder much at all. So yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like my odds of qualifying right now for anything are super low because I'm just not very, you know, I'm not like it's not like how it was back in the day when
you don't have to be embarrassed about saying that, you know, we're all in the same boat. I feel the same thing.
I know. I'm just, you know, I'm just explaining how I view myself in this current situation. Like, you know, it's not like.
Do you maybe think that that's because it's just all on arena? Like, it's kind of harder to get a motivation if you're like not hanging around the people who are like maybe already qualified or like trying hard themselves. So maybe if like the real tournament comes back, maybe you know it will change. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's definitely part of it because what I was gonna say was like it's not like you know like how you and I used to you know like test together in houses with you know a bunch of our other like you know friends and pro players and such, and like obviously like not having that is you know is a big hit to like you know being able to like perform well and stuff like that, but you know there are some you know people who are able to you know, like who get together, test online and stuff for these tournaments. But that's mostly like, you know, happening like like the players in the leagues and stuff like that. But I do feel that once paper tournaments start, more people will be like interested in like maybe getting together again and stuff like that. Because that was always like one of the, I don't know, that was always like one of the most important parts for me when it came to like being ready for like the Pro Tour. Like all those times that we would have like those houses and we would meet up for like 4 to 7 days or sometimes longer. Depending, like I just always learned so much, and I didn't have to play infinite either. Yeah. I just had to play like a decent amount, like talk to everybody, see where everyone's at. Like you're gonna get a whole bunch of different opinions, and I don't know. It was always just the best learning process, and I would always go into the PT just feeling great.
Yeah, just like being in a house with like 10 like-minded people who are really smart and really into the same thing as you. It's just very different from like being home, just kind of grinding it yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I have tested a little bit here and there because I also I played in the Mythic Invitational this year, the online one, the arena one. Obviously, everything's online. And then I played in the Players Tour as well, the online Players Tour that was like I think in June or something. So yeah, I mean. I've been playing a bit, but not that much. So I don't know. We'll see what comes though. I'm still like excited. The only other things I've really been playing that although I haven't played as much lately, I've been playing the Star City tournaments because those are basically like PTQs. Right?
I play like one or whatever. Yeah,
the reason why I like them though is they're pretty cheap to enter, and also if you get a buy. Then you also get a.
How many people play the day 2? Do you know? Usually.
You like the qualifier itself? You mean?
No, I mean like the day when you like some people have buys and stuff, and then the winner.
Yeah. So it's on Sunday. Basically, the prelims are Friday and Saturday, and then the tournament's on Sunday. But I was saying like if you 5-1 or 6-0 a prelim, you also get the qualifier weekend invite, which is like for the arena, like the arena MCQs or what they used to be called MCQs. But yeah, and that lets you bypass the ladder. So that's like a huge that's one of the big reasons why I really like those tournaments because I just can't play the ladder, man. It's just like I just can't do it. I play every now and then like when I want to get a feel for a deck or something, but being on the grind to try to get top 1200 is definitely not like the best. That's what I would mostly just play limited for that anyway, and just burn like all my gems. But that's about it.
Last thing that I would like to ask about, I wanted to ask about it before it's kind of random that I'm asking about it at the end, is that like you top 8 one Pro Tour. There is even a video about it. Not gonna go into detail. If people want to watch it, go watch it. With zombies, if I'm not mistaken. Did you play zombies in the tournament?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Because I actually made an interview today with Sebastian Poce, and I was like wrong 2 times when I said a statement. So I'm like more cautious right now.
Cautious, sure. I got you. No, yeah, I played zombies. I really liked it. It's
so like
decks, obviously.
You look super overwhelmed with that. Like, how much did that like mean to you? Like, I don't have a top 8 myself, so I cannot really imagine. But
yeah, I mean, it just meant so much to me, and it still does today. I mean, it was like I was already. I don't know. I had already played almost 30 PTs at that point or something because I was already playing for 7 years on the PT. So being there every single year, playing every single one. And like knowing that like I was good enough, but like it just never happened basically. And I'm not, I wasn't like the only one. There's even you said it yourself. You don't have one. Like there's many great players who don't have one. So just getting that first one was just unreal because, it was just like everything I had tried. Everything we would go like every time we would go like get in a house and do all this work and all the tournaments leading up to that. Like pretty much everything that like. All the work I put into Magic culminated to that, so that's what that's the moment I was waiting for, basically, for all that work. So, yeah, it meant a ton, and it's definitely one of.
Well, I never experienced the feeling. Like, is the feeling, even like more insane than like if you like win your first GP or whatever, like, or is it comparable, or I don't know.
Oh no, it was more. It was definitely bigger than that. You know, like it definitely felt like the moment hit me bigger than the GP win did for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it just been a lot. So yeah, hopefully, I always thought I could. You know, I was always hoping to do more, obviously, but because I always wanted to be a Hall of Famer. But
well,
I figured down the road maybe I'll have more chances. You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, we kind of all, I mean, like the pro players kind of started with a dream of being the best Magic player in the world, right?
Yeah, of course.
Then you kind of like get to the big scene and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it was like when I got there, it made it easier for me though. I feel like that's why it was so easy for me to stay on. Of course, being qualified for all of them already gives you a good chance, right? Because you at least like no matter what, you know that you're playing in those tournaments. So it's just funny how I always felt like it was just kind of like a battle against yourself, you know.
I mean,
and
it
like,
is right.
Yeah, and it was just like the more I won, like the easier it became for me to like not hold myself back and play with like less stress, less pressure, all that stuff. But of course, like you know. Like it's still gonna get you every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so because I've made some pretty uneventful, you know, plays and some high pressure moments and stuff.
You don't have to tell me about that.
You know, I'm sure we all have, but you know, it's just
one of my. I'm sorry. It's your interview, but it's a good time to say it. I just wanted to talk about one of my mistakes. So like my opponent has like 3 ice cages. It's like when you target it or the creature or whatever, it falls off.
Yeah.
And there was also a creature that when you target it, it dies. So I bought it in jump just to be able to like kill that, right? Just like as a target spell. And then my opponent is at 2, I have a 2/2, and I just don't jump it to win because in my head, in my head it's just like a card to destroy those. I didn't like even like.
Yeah. You realize that it actually does something else. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna happen, especially with those cards that like generally you would never play in your deck, but you found the one spot where it's good, but that yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, Magic's hard, man.
Until to this day, it still hurts.
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel about my my Maelstrom Pulse play. Yeah. To this day, man. I just wish I killed those things. Maybe I'd be, you know, a 2-time top 8er. I don't know. But
yeah,
you never know.
We all have these moments. It's just inevitable to happen.
I agree.
Well, I had a great time. If there is still something that you would like to say, maybe I missed something important, of course you can say that.
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, since it's an interview about me, I guess I would just have to say that, I don't know, I just don't feel like you'd be even interviewing me if it wasn't for people like you and, you know, all the people that I've teamed with and just all the people who, you know, have helped me, like, become a good Magic player. So, yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be grateful to all these people. And I hope that, we can have more tournaments, you know, in the future because it'd be great to see everyone again.
Yeah, that would also mean that Corona went away, so you know.
Of course, yes.
I heard that they found some kind of a vaccine or whatever.
They've been, you know, it's begun from what I've seen, you know. So
it's just kind of hard for me to believe it. Actually, I just don't really have high beliefs, but hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Guys, if you I'm sorry, did you wanted to say something?
No, I'm good. I'm ready.
All right. If you guys like the video, please click on the like and subscribe button. Chris, thank you very much for spending your time with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See you guys.